Your body has an incredible way of sending signals when something isn't right. But do you know which signs should never be ignored? It's easy to brush off discomfort, blame exhaustion on a long day, or assume that an unusual symptom will just go away on its own. But sometimes, those little warnings are your body's way of saying, "Pay attention, something serious is happening." We get it. Health concerns can feel overwhelming, even a little scary. No one wants to think about worst-case scenarios. But the truth is, recognizing the right signs at the right time can be life-saving. And the good news? You don't have to navigate this alone. With the right knowledge, you can protect yourself and your loved ones, making informed decisions with confidence and clarity. That's exactly why we're here today. In this video, we'll walk you through 7 urgent warning signs that could indicate a serious medical issue. These are symptoms that should never be ignored, signals your body is giving you that it needs immediate attention. Some may be surprising, others may seem minor at first, but knowing them could be the key to preventing a crisis. So stay with us until the end, because every second of this information matters. Your health, and the health of those you love, is worth it. Let's get started. 1. Sudden chest pain or pressure. When it comes to your health, every second counts, especially when your body is telling you something isn't right. One of the most urgent warning signs you should never ignore is sudden chest pain or pressure. Imagine this. John, a 67-year-old retired teacher, is sitting in his favorite chair, sipping his morning coffee, when a strange sensation creeps into his chest. It's not exactly pain, more like a tight, squeezing pressure, almost as if someone is pressing down hard. The sensation begins to spread to his shoulder and jaw, and he feels more tired than usual. Maybe it's just the stress of the week, or perhaps a bit too much activity the day before. He tells himself, "It's probably nothing. I'll just drink some water and rest." John's first instinct is to brush it off, but the discomfort doesn't go away. Instead, it lingers, and as the minutes pass, he feels more fatigued. His heart rate seems off, and there's a faint dizziness that makes him feel uneasy. He wonders, could it be my heart? Should I call someone? It's easy to dismiss these moments, but here's the truth. Chest discomfort like this could be a warning sign of a heart attack. And for older adults, those warnings don't always look like the dramatic clutching of the chest we see in movies. Heart attack symptoms can sometimes be unexpectedly mild, especially in seniors. For John, the symptoms didn't fit the classic mold of sharp pain. There was no intense crushing feeling, but the pressure, the spread of discomfort, and his sudden tiredness were all important clues that shouldn't be ignored. Heart attacks can develop suddenly, or they may begin with mild symptoms that get worse over time. And in these moments, time is critical. The longer the heart is deprived of oxygen, the greater the damage. Immediate action isn't just recommended, it's life-saving. For John, calling 911 was the right choice. It's natural to feel hesitant, to wonder if you're overreacting. But the truth is, doctors would rather you seek help and be fine than ignore symptoms that could turn life-threatening. A simple phone call could be the difference between a manageable situation and a medical emergency. Fortunately, John did call 911. Paramedics arrived quickly, and he was rushed to the hospital, where doctors were able to begin treatment right away. Because of his quick decision to seek help, John made a full recovery and learned just how important it is to trust his instincts. So, if you or a loved one ever experience persistent chest pain, pressure, or an unusual sensation that lasts more than a few minutes, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. Even if you're unsure, it's always better to be safe than sorry. The quicker you act, the more options you have to prevent long-term damage and improve recovery chances. John's story is a reminder that health is often fragile, but by recognizing the signs and acting fast, you're giving yourself the best chance at a strong recovery. And in moments like this, that's what truly matters. 2. Sudden weakness or numbness, especially on one side. One moment, everything feels normal. Then, without warning, your arm feels weak, your hand won't grip the way it should, or maybe one side of your face feels oddly numb. You try to shake it off, but something isn't right. Words feel harder to form, or your vision blurs just for a moment. It passes quickly, and you convince yourself it was nothing. But these are the moments that demand immediate attention. Sudden weakness or numbness, especially on one side of the body, is one of the clearest warning signs of a stroke. A stroke happens when blood flow to the brain is suddenly interrupted, either by a clot or a burst blood vessel. Without oxygen-rich blood, brain cells begin to die within minutes, and the longer it takes to get treatment, the more severe the damage can be. Many people hesitate when symptoms appear, hoping they'll go away. But strokes don't wait, and neither should you. Even if the symptoms seem minor or disappear quickly, they should never be ignored. Some strokes, called transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, or mini-strokes, produce temporary symptoms, but are often a warning sign that a major stroke is coming. Getting medical help right away can prevent something far worse from happening. There's an easy way to remember what to look for. Fast. If you or someone near you experiences face drooping, arm weakness, or speech difficulty, it's time to call 911. These symptoms often come on suddenly, without warning, and every second matters. Some people also experience confusion, dizziness, trouble walking, or a sudden, severe headache. No matter how subtle the symptoms seem, they should never be dismissed. Picture this. A grandfather is sitting at the kitchen table, chatting with his family. Mid-sentence, his words begin to slur, and his fork slips from his hand. He chuckles, insisting he's just tired. But his daughter notices something. The left side of his mouth isn't moving quite right when he speaks. She remembers fast and calls 911 immediately. By the time paramedics arrive, his symptoms have faded. Was it really a stroke? The doctors confirm it was a TIA, a warning sign. Because he got to the hospital in time, he receives treatment that prevents a devastating stroke in the days ahead. This is why acting quickly can mean the difference between recovery and long-term disability. In some cases, if treated early enough, doctors can use clot-busting medications or procedures to restore blood flow and prevent permanent damage. But these treatments are time-sensitive. The sooner you get help, the better the outcome. It's easy to think, what if it's nothing? But what if it's something? Trust yourself. If something feels off, if a loved one suddenly can't lift their arm, smile evenly, or speak clearly, don't wait. Call 911. Strokes are medical emergencies, and getting help immediately can save lives. Taking action in these moments isn't just about reacting to danger. It's about taking control, protecting yourself, and giving your body the best chance to heal. And that's something worth doing. If you're still here, I hope these insights help you stay alert to the warning signs your body may be giving you. If you found this valuable, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might need to hear this. 3. Unexplained shortness of breath. After a lifetime of navigating the ups and downs of daily life, it's easy to assume that a sudden shift in your health, like unexplained shortness of breath, could just be part of the aging process. But here's the truth. When your breath comes in short, desperate gasps, it's time to pay attention because it could signal something much more serious. Breathing is something most of us take for granted, until we can't. Imagine walking through your day, only to find that suddenly, out of nowhere, your chest feels tight, and you can't catch your breath. Maybe you're gasping for air, or perhaps you notice an uncomfortable heaviness in your chest. You might think it's just a little fatigue, but that sensation of being winded, especially if it comes on suddenly, is a serious red flag. It could be linked to a number of life-threatening conditions like heart failure, a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in the lung, or even pneumonia. As we get older, our bodies naturally face more challenges. The heart and lungs begin to work harder, and age often brings with it conditions that compromise these systems. For seniors, conditions like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, or a history of smoking increase the risk of complications like shortness of breath. And sometimes, we overlook early warning signs, thinking they'll resolve on their own or simply chalking them up to getting older. But in truth, ignoring these signs can be dangerous. Take this example. A grandmother who spent years caring for her grandchildren and maintaining an active life suddenly finds herself unable to catch her breath. She tries resting, thinking it'll pass, but it doesn't. Her chest feels tight, and every breath is more difficult than the last. Initially, she feels embarrassed to ask for help, assuming it's just the effects of age. But after a few minutes, she remembers how important it is to listen to her body. She calls for help. The ambulance arrives just in time. It turns out she was experiencing a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot in her lungs that could have been fatal if left untreated. It's easy to brush off symptoms of shortness of breath, especially when they seem minor or come and go. But don't wait. If you ever find yourself struggling to breathe, feeling like you can't catch your breath, or if there's a sudden tightness in your chest, it's critical to act immediately. Call emergency services right away. Whether it's a heart condition, a clot, or something else, time is of the essence. The quicker you receive medical care, the better the chances of a full recovery. Even if you've experienced some shortness of breath in the past, it's important to recognize that every new or worsening episode needs attention. Don't second-guess your instincts. If something feels off, trust yourself and reach out for help. Your life and your well-being deserve it. By being proactive and acting quickly, you're not just protecting your health, you're ensuring that you continue to live a vibrant, fulfilling life, with the peace of mind that comes from taking control of your health. 4. Confusion or sudden personality changes. It's a moment that can send a chill through any family, when a loved one who's always been sharp and aware starts acting differently. Maybe they can't seem to remember where they put their keys, or perhaps they seem confused about where they are, even though it's a place they've visited 1,000 times before. We all forget things from time to time, but sudden confusion or personality changes are something else entirely. For Linda Martinez, a 72-year-old retired librarian, the first sign that something was wrong with her husband Robert came over breakfast. They had been married for 45 years, their mornings filled with familiar conversations and quiet companionship. But on this particular day, Robert seemed distant. He struggled to remember what day it was, and when Linda asked him about their plans for the afternoon, he looked at her with a vacant expression, as if the words didn't make sense. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe he didn't sleep well, she thought. But then, as he reached for his coffee, his hand trembled slightly. A few minutes later, his speech became slurred, and when she asked him if he was feeling okay, he hesitated, as if searching for the right words. That's when Linda knew. This wasn't just forgetfulness. Something was wrong. Sudden disorientation, slurred speech, or acting not like themselves can indicate something serious, like a stroke, an infection, or even a drop in blood sugar. And sometimes, these changes come on quickly, leaving you unsure of what to do. Linda didn't wait. She grabbed her phone and called 911. At the hospital, doctors confirmed that Robert had experienced a transient ischemic attack, TIA, often called a mini-stroke. Though the symptoms had faded by the time they arrived at the ER, the doctors explained that these episodes can be a warning sign of a major stroke in the future. Thanks to Linda's quick response, Robert was able to get the care he needed before things became worse. There's another critical point to consider. Infections, like urinary tract infections, UTIs, are common in older adults and can cause confusion before they show physical signs like fever or pain. In fact, many studies suggest that untreated infections can have a profound impact on mental clarity. A simple infection, left unchecked, could cause a sudden shift in your loved one's behavior. It's not just the physical body that can be affected by an infection. It's the mind as well. One of the most difficult things to watch as a caregiver is seeing someone you love struggle to recognize what's happening to them. It's a reminder that even minor changes in behavior could point to something treatable, but only if it's caught early. Whether it's a shift in mental clarity from an infection, a blood sugar imbalance, or even a medical condition like a stroke, acting swiftly can make a world of difference. Linda's decision to seek help immediately meant Robert got the treatment he needed. And because they caught the warning signs early, they were able to make lifestyle changes to reduce his stroke risk moving forward. If you're ever in doubt, don't hesitate to call a doctor. When it comes to changes in personality or mental function, it's always better to err on the side of caution. Your loved one's health and peace of mind are worth the extra step. By seeking help right away, you're ensuring that any potential health concerns are addressed before they have the chance to develop into something more serious. 5. Severe abdominal pain that won't go away. It's a moment that can send a chill through any family. When a loved one who has always been sharp and aware suddenly starts acting differently. Maybe they forget where they placed their keys, or perhaps they seem confused about their surroundings, even though they've been there countless times before. While occasional forgetfulness is normal, sudden disorientation or personality changes can signal something far more serious. Imagine this scenario. A husband and wife are going through their usual morning routine, just as they have for decades. Their life together is built on familiarity, shared memories, inside jokes, and a comforting daily rhythm. But today, something is different. The wife notices that her husband, who is usually so sharp, is struggling with simple tasks. His speech is slightly slurred, and he doesn't remember a conversation they had just an hour ago. He seems distant, almost as if he's trapped in a fog. At first, she tries to dismiss it. Maybe he's just tired, she thinks. Maybe he's preoccupied. But deep down, she knows something isn't right. Sudden confusion, slurred speech, or acting not like themselves can indicate a serious medical issue, such as a stroke, an infection, or even a dangerous drop in blood sugar. These changes often happen quickly, leaving family members unsure of what to do next. For caregivers, these moments can be particularly alarming. It's easy to assume that mild forgetfulness or mood shifts are just a normal part of aging. However, when these symptoms appear suddenly, they should never be ignored. If your loved one starts struggling to recognize familiar faces, forgets who they are, or exhibits uncharacteristic behavior, seeking medical attention immediately is crucial. Another important factor to consider is infections, particularly urinary tract infections, UTIs, which are common in older adults. Unlike younger individuals who experience pain or fever with a UTI, older adults may first exhibit confusion or agitation. Left untreated, such infections can severely impact mental clarity. Infections, blood sugar imbalances, and strokes can all lead to sudden cognitive changes, but early intervention can make a significant difference. One of the hardest things to witness as a caregiver is seeing a loved one lose touch with reality, even temporarily. But these symptoms can be treatable, if caught in time. If you ever notice sudden changes in mental function, don't hesitate to call a doctor. It's always better to act quickly rather than wait and see. Seeking help promptly can protect your loved one's well-being and possibly prevent a more serious medical event. 6. Sudden vision loss or blurred vision. It's something we often take for granted. Our ability to see the world around us, to enjoy the simple pleasure of a sunset, or the comforting faces of our loved ones. But imagine this. One moment, everything is clear, and the next, the world suddenly becomes blurry or fades into darkness. A sudden loss of vision is not just unsettling, it's a red flag that something serious could be happening inside your body. Consider this scenario. A grandfather is sitting in the park with his daughter, enjoying their weekly walk together. They've just shared a laugh, reminiscing about old memories, when he suddenly notices that his vision is becoming blurry. At first, he brushes it off, assuming it's just fatigue or the sun playing tricks on his eyes. But the blurriness doesn't go away. In fact, it gets worse. His vision doubles, and the edges of his sight begin to fade. His daughter notices his confusion and, without hesitation, insists they seek medical attention immediately. Her quick decision may have just saved his eyesight, and possibly his life. While it's natural for eyesight to change as we age, sudden vision loss is never normal. It can be a sign of serious underlying conditions like a stroke, a retinal detachment, or even an eye-related emergency such as acute glaucoma. A stroke can affect the parts of the brain that control vision, leading to a sudden loss of sight in one or both eyes. Retinal detachment, where the retina pulls away from its normal position, can cause sudden flashes of light, floating spots, or complete darkness. If not treated urgently, it can result in permanent blindness. The key takeaway: if you or a loved one ever experience sudden blurry vision, double vision, or a complete loss of sight, don't wait. Seek immediate medical attention. The faster you act, the better the chances of preserving vision and preventing further complications. Even if the symptoms seem to improve, it's still crucial to get checked out. Some conditions can progress silently, causing irreversible damage. Your vision is precious, and protecting it means being proactive. Trust your instincts, pay attention to sudden changes, and never hesitate to seek help. Because in these moments, every second counts, and taking action could mean the difference between temporary trouble and permanent loss. If you're still here, I hope this helps you stay aware. If it did, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might need it. 7. Uncontrolled bleeding or deep wounds. There's nothing quite like the sudden panic that sets in when you see blood, especially when it doesn't stop. Whether it's a deep cut or a wound that just won't seem to heal, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sight of it. Uncontrolled bleeding or deep wounds are always urgent, and the risks can be even greater as we get older. Our bodies change with time, and it's essential to recognize the unique challenges we face when it comes to caring for ourselves or loved ones in these situations. For 78-year-old Harold Benson, a retired carpenter, a simple afternoon of gardening turned into a medical emergency. Harold had always prided himself on his independence. He spent his days tending to his backyard, trimming hedges, and planting vegetables. But one afternoon, as he was pruning his rose bushes, his hand slipped, and the sharp shears sliced deep into his palm. At first, he wasn't too worried. He'd had his fair share of cuts and scrapes over the years. He wrapped a paper towel around his hand and figured the bleeding would stop on its own. But as the minutes passed, the blood kept seeping through the towel. He applied pressure, switched to a dishcloth, and even tried elevating his hand. But nothing seemed to work. Harold's wife, Margaret, walked in and saw the blood pooling through the cloth. Her heart pounded. She knew Harold was on blood thinners due to a previous heart condition, and she also knew that even minor injuries could become serious if the bleeding didn't stop. Without hesitation, she grabbed the phone and called their neighbor, a retired nurse, who immediately urged them to go to the emergency room. At the hospital, doctors confirmed that Harold's blood-thinning medication had prevented his wound from clotting properly. The cut, though not extremely deep, had nicked a small artery, making the bleeding impossible to stop without professional care. Doctors cleaned the wound, applied special clotting agents, and stitched the cut to prevent further blood loss. If Harold had waited much longer, he could have risked severe blood loss or even an infection. Many older adults, like Harold, take blood thinners to prevent heart attacks or strokes, but these life-saving medications come with their own risks. Even a small cut can become dangerous, and excessive bruising or frequent nosebleeds may indicate an internal issue that needs medical attention. That's why it's crucial to pay close attention to any wounds, especially those that won't stop bleeding after applying firm pressure for 10 minutes. Margaret's quick thinking made all the difference for Harold that day. It's a powerful reminder that waiting is never the right option when it comes to uncontrolled bleeding. Whether it's a deep wound or persistent bleeding from a minor cut, seeking medical attention promptly can prevent complications like infection, excessive blood loss, or long-term damage. Harold still loves gardening, but now he takes extra precautions. He wears thick gloves, keeps a first aid kit nearby, and knows that if he ever experiences prolonged bleeding again, he won't hesitate to get help. By recognizing the risks, knowing how to respond quickly, and acting when needed, he's ensuring that he can continue doing what he loves, safely and with confidence. We understand. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when faced with health concerns, especially when it seems like there are so many warning signs to watch for. But here's something important to remember. Knowledge is power. The more we learn about these signs and how to respond, the better we can protect ourselves and our loved ones. This isn't about living in fear. It's about being informed, prepared, and confident in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, no matter how slight or understated, it's always better to be safe. Whether it's a sudden change in how you're feeling or something more obvious, don't hesitate to seek medical attention. The sooner you address a concern, the more options you have for treatment, and the better the outcome is likely to be. Listening to your body is one of the best ways to ensure your health stays on track. We all play a role in looking out for each other. Sharing what you've learned today can make a world of difference. Talk to your family, friends, and loved ones about these warning signs. Help them stay informed, and together, we can build a supportive community where health is prioritized. So, share this video, subscribe for more health tips, and let's take care of each other, because we're all in this together.